Do we have a diagnosis, Billy, on how it is that you are recovering? Because you say you feel better, but you don't sound better. You sound worse.
I don't feel great. I'm not gonna lie.
You sound like shit.
Yeah, I'm in the point where like my joints start hurting.
Okay.
Which I think is always the last step. And thermometers, don't get me started. It's a whole thing with thermometers.
Dude.
I get the thermometer that my kid's pediatrician uses because I assume they know which thermometer is the best thermometer. So I try to sneak a picture and then buy that thermometer because I'm like, this is like if we're at a doctor's office. And then if you take them to urgent care, they're like, no, you shouldn't use that thermometer. I did the ear thermometer, but then they're like, no, those aren't that accurate. Use the underarm thermometer. So I'll do the ear thermometer. It'll tell me like you have a fever of like 102. And then I put under my arm and it says you have 97 degrees. There's no way there's 5 degrees off here. Like, I don't understand it. I don't know if I'm sick, if I'm not. Thermometer tells me I'm perfectly fine, so here I am.
No, you're sick. And the joints, that's flu, isn't it? The joints, you don't get into joint cold.
Well, I'm getting old, so it could be age also.
Does it usually coincide with you not feeling great? Have you considered maybe telling your body not today?
Wow. Well, the thing is, Chris isn't here, and Zaz isn't here, so I knew we were shorthanded. So I didn't want to an hour before the show just be like, guys, I can't do this today. So I cowboyed up, and here I am.
You have said to your body, not today.
Yeah, no, I know, and everybody in this office hates that I keep saying not today and keep kind of coming in. I'm doing it for them, whether they like it or not.
Please turn in that direction.
Yeah.
Has it affected your temperament and mood? Because you also came in saying that the Panther season might be over.
I'm concerned about my coworkers that love the Panthers. Tony over here, big Panthers guy. Everybody knows he's wearing the Stanley C. Panther shirt.
But I have a take though.
What's that?
Two back-to-back championships. That's it. It's okay. Like, who cares about next season? Who cares about the season after that? It's over.
What the hell are you talking about?
Like, what does it matter?
We don't know the severity of this
Back-to-back
injury.
championships. Dan, what else do you want?
Possibly be the worst.
Get a otro.
to
You want to be
ever
greedy? You want to have another one?
Yes.
And another one after
Yeah,
that? And
yeah.
another one, keep winning?
Already an all-time team want to be irrefutably the best of your
back
lifetime.
to back. You can throw back to back Jack. You're good.
No, I want back-to-back, Jack.
If you
That does sound better.
These injuries end up being like serious and they're not going to end up winning, right? And you don't have enough firepower. There's question marks whether or not they have enough firepower. All you need to do is get in the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. But if they don't have enough firepower, we've seen them do it before. We've seen Bill Zito do this before. Do you consider reloading now? You make some moves and you set up for another run because you say, we're not going to have enough this year, but the pieces we could get back, and you reload.
But Roy, how bad is this Barkov? We don't know how bad. He already started with the rebuilding instead of the defending. Yes, he started over. But Barkov and ACL, is the worst what's expected?
Non-contact injury, man. It looked really, really bad.
It looked bad. They're worried about the ACL, but there is. I saw reports yesterday that they're hopeful that it's not as serious as it looked. I'm a little scared.
All right, so Billy's toughing it out. Way to cowboy up, Billy. Exciting.
So long, we're so damn excited that we put it in a song. Don't need no check downs, every big hits and quarterbacks. Keep your fantasy team from falling off the track. Football is back, Jack. Whether on the ground or through the air, when the chips are down and you throw a prayer. When your team is primed and on the hunt, it's 4th and 10, you refuse to punt. When the shoulder pads and helmets crack, that's how you know that football is back, Jack. Let me hear you say, football is back, Jack. This high is wild and out of control. And we're gonna ride it every week till we reach the Super Bowl. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Football is back, Jack. Football is back, Jack. Football is
it's Mike. I'm here in sunny Allapattah, and thanks to some grave oversight by the Bucket Let's Say committee, I picked a punishment that was available on the board that was truly a reward. I got to go to a thrift shop and pick out some vintage clothing and then wear that clothing head to toe. So thanks. I'm here at Yesterday, which is a vintage shop behind Daly, my neighbors out here in Allapattah, which is a great sneaker shop. And I'm going to go buy some stuff. Unbelievable display here. I thought as a goof, this might be the play, but then that would actually make it a punishment for me, so I'm not going to do that. Now, I may get this Ryan Leaf jersey either way because it's gorgeous, but you know me, I love my left turns. There's one piece here that I can't say no to. The Mark Martin Pfizer car. My man was repping Viagra before it was cool. Was it ever cool? I don't know. When I wear this, it will be. So the assignment is head to toe, which includes a hat. Great wall hats here. This Miami Hurricanes Rose Bowl one is calling me. This one's calling me. But I'm going to go ahead and take this. Now, jeans are a tricky situation at a thrift shop. I guess is the biggest punishment, but I'll go ahead and take these CKs. And now for the final piece. Whole ensemble, including some South Beach Kobe's, a neighborly discount that I'm sure Metalark will appreciate because I am expensing this. I appreciate everything this fine shop does. Incredible neighbors. Check them out in Allapattah. Thank you very much, kind sir. What a punishment.
That's not the spirit of what we're doing around here. That is not a punishment now. You like what you're wearing. Usually people don't like punishment. So I will tell you now something that I've been reluctant to tell you guys. And it's because I haven't closed the deal yet. He's driving a hard bargain on money. But we're hiring Udonis Haslem to be the enforcer on this grid of death so you guys can quit getting out of stuff the way that you're cheating the grid of death.
I didn't cheat the grid of death. Yeah, you did it. Yeah. Grid of death cheated you. Yeah. The bucket has a board of punishments available, and I will say, while I thought this was a reward at first, this fabric does not breathe. No. The jeans, little snug. Yeah, little snug. And for the shoes, I didn't have time to put in my insoles, so the plantar fascia, little tight.
Wow. Are we indeed changing the name of thrift shops now to vintage shops? Is that something that's formally made a move?
I kind of took some liberties there. I mean, it's thrifty, but the price is a little different. Truthfully,
a lot different.
This whole ensemble cost me $500. Well, it cost you $500.
Yeah, you guys aren't doing this right.
Dan, what he did is he went to the best vintage store in Miami and just got a bunch of stuff that's really cool,
he
right?
was shopping.
There's a little spirit of the rules stuff here, Mike. This was supposed to be like get thrifty, so spend, like $10 on a full outfit. Yeah. But I just kind of can't believe that Udonis Haslem is going from being like the enforcer on behalf of Spo to the enforcer on behalf of me.
What is UD going to do? Foul me if I don't do anything?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead and
You're
keep
gonna ask
talking
that question?
like that.
Yeah, guys, stupid.
Yeah, well, he's not even here.
And Dan doesn't know how to negotiate because now he's put his name out there. And
no, we were already close. No, we were already close. I actually went with him and his associates.
Antoine?
I'm just going to call them associates. To dinner, and we're finalizing this. He's going to be around here as the enforcer on the grid of death, so you guys can't keep doing this shit where you don't respect this thing.
Yeah, it's a Dentec bucket.
It's the bucket.
Where'd you go to dinner?
We went to Claw.
Who paid?
I did.
Oh, okay. So I don't know how close we are. How him and his associates.
Was it embarrassing when you told the waitress like, "Oh, I can't have nutmeg, I can't have this, I can't have that," and he's looking at you like, "Come on, dude." No.
It was embarrassing, but he didn't eat anything. Like, he's a very careful eater. He's a former fat guy. And nobody remembers this, but at the University of Florida, he was a fat guy.
I know, it's crazy. Did you guys talk highlight? Because he's a very involved owner, a very successful one. I hate to admit it, more successful than even Chris and I.
Wow. He did talk highlight. He's excited about his highlight team. You're excited about our highlight team.
Our highlight team is cooking. Now, we had a devastating injury to Bueno. before the season that had it was no bueno, Tony, that had us needing to use subs. Williams came back briefly. El Barba came back. These are taxi squad players that were undrafted. A big drop off from Bueno. We put on our GM hats and we lobbied the league. They were like, we would not be in the position that we are right now if we just took this lion down. Wow. We fought. We got Robin as a replacement, which is way more fair. And right now, I am proud to announce that your Cyclones are top of the table.
I want to, at some point, put together a list of things around here that we're proudest of, because I don't know how high on the list I'd put the fact that we have been proud supporters of Highlight and helped keep Highlight alive in the American spirit. It's very high on my list, though, of quirky things that I like that I'm proud that we've done around here to own a Highlight team.
And totally dialed in on it. Like the group chat is buzzing. We watch every game. Our scouting network is deep, far, and wide, Dan, and it's really cool to see this tree bear fruit, because we got Unda in there, and Unda was a new player into the league. We had to do a deep advanced scout on Unda, and man, he is stout but powerful. It just sounds different coming off of his cesta.
I was in a Mexican restaurant the other day, and on the televisions was our Highlight team. I could sit there and be in the restaurant and be the proud owner of a sports franchise that was being televised in the restaurant. I didn't know where it was televised, though. I don't know how they got it or where it is that they found it. Where was this being? Was this ESPN Plus? Where was
it's on the ESPN app. It's on YouTube. I mean, it's truly a global game. And I've often walked into Mexican restaurants and seen the world's fastest game on TV. So we must go at the same place to the same Mexican restaurant. Yeah, it's the world's fastest growing sport right now. I can say that definitively.
That's not accurate. I don't believe.
Name a sport that is growing faster than Highlight.
Pickleball.
I don't believe that that's accurate.
They plateaued.
We're
still on
the
way up.
Yeah.
Paddle, though. Paddle's on the way up.
What's paddle?
It's the same thing as pickleball, but people that play paddle are like more sophisticated. Dan, I feel like paddle's something in your circles.
Speaking of plateauing, I read a good quote here that I thought was interesting from Dabo Swinney. It was in a Dan Wetzel column about how little Mike Gundy changed, how stubborn he was, and how he got left behind because he was this kind of stubborn. I thought this was interesting from Dabo, particularly when he was just talking about the life cycle of programs and businesses, because it wasn't just programs he was talking about. And in this case, those are synonyms now in college football. Giant college football weekend this weekend. Quote, you've got the birth, you've got the growth, you've got plateau. You've got, why did I pronounce it that way? You've got plateau, you've got decline, and you've got death. Those great businesses out there, those great programs, they don't plateau. So how do you do that? You have to constantly reinvent, reinvest, reset, learn, grow. You change. You have to do that. You don't just change to change, but you have to always challenge yourself each and every year and make sure, okay, this may be how we've done it, but is it still the right way to do it?
That is a great quote, and it is the mantra that Chris Cody and I took into the war room at the Battle Court draft, and the dividends are there, folks. I think we're on our way to the playoffs, Billy, and we got a good shot here. I'm really hopeful. By the way, what happened to Mike Gundy wasn't any of that. T. Boone Pickens died in 2019. That's what happened to Mike Gundy.
Well, he said death. He said that was
the death he was talking about.
That was one of
the
things he was pointing
at. The ascent of Mike Gundy while T. Boone Pickens was alive funding that program, and man, he would have loved NIL, but unfortunately he didn't get to see it. 2019, and then the decline, and now death.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Has there ever been a better booster name than T. Boone Pickens? Because if I'm getting illicit money, I want it from someone named T. Boone Pickens.
I know you mentioned Texas Tech earlier in the week. You have no idea how much money they've spent. They have spent an ungodly amount of money.
I'll tell you what I saw, though. When I saw their backup quarterback come in and be better than their starter, and I saw him be all game more physical than Utah, a team I know to always be physical, I saw their money being spent when I'm seeing them drag Utah.
There were two programs that were very aggressive about the money. USC did it a little bit differently. USC out on the West Coast, not the Gamecocks, even though they spent a fair amount of money and are not getting a return on that investment. But Texas Tech, I mean, they went over and above. And you see their defense, a school traditionally not known for defense, mercenaries, dominant body types. Romello, you may remember him over at Georgia Tech, just a pin the ears back pass rusher. That is a really good team. Before this season, I put money on them to make the playoffs and USC to make the playoffs. What USC has done is really fascinating because they operate in a state where you can have NIL deals for high school football players. And with all the uncertainty around the sport, they decided we're going to lock in these high school juniors. And if you see the recruiting class for this season and next season, it is sterling. So I think Lincoln Riley's going to have a bounce back this year, and it looks so far so good.
I want to get into some things locally here because Tua is feuding with Cam Newton. We've got the most important Panther player suffering an injury that might be catastrophic because I don't want to go into the playoffs with Barkov and Tkachuk not having played most of the season.
You might not get into the playoffs. I think we have enough, but that's going to be tough.
It's a deep team, but he's the reason. Barkov, I mean, the Panthers, yes, but Barkov's the reason McDavid doesn't have a title. And he's their most important player, far and away. I know hockey people know that he's a star, and hockey people know how good he is, but he does not have the name that reverberates the way that McDavid's name does, or even Tkachuk's name does, because I don't know who you guys would say is the greatest foreign superstar across sports. Antetokounmpo has made the leap, but it is really hard if there are cultural differences, language differences, personality differences where we don't really get to know you, for a star to have his excellence transcend the sport and land in pop culture. But if you're a hockey fan or if you're paying attention to hockey, the people who pay attention to hockey know that Barkov's the only human being on earth who slows McDavid. There's no second place. What is the distant second place, Roy, on guy? There's no such thing as a McDavid stopper other than Barkov, is there?
No, you're right. I mean, Sam Reinhart's going up there as far as Selke Trophy candidates. You got Jack Eichel, but yeah, that's about it.
Eichel's tremendous, but yeah, Reinhart probably the most deserving of the Selke award. So Reinhart's in that conversation. Honestly, the guy that will probably have to step up most if Barkov misses any kind of significant time, and we still don't know the severity of the injury, though it did look bad, is Anton Lundell, who's a really excellent two-way player.
Your boy, your friend.
Anton Lundell gave quotes saying he's a Miami Hurricanes guy now because he had such an incredible time at our tailgate and at the game. Wow. Anton Lundell, superstar. Very handsome man, by the way. Dresses really well.
You turned him into a Hurricane fan by tailgating with him?
The Miami Hurricanes did. That asylum, the atmosphere, the winning, the way that they look a certain way.
The cold ones.
Yeah, the cold ones.
Before I get to Tua and Cam, Roy, who was our Hampton Farms winner, the Nuttiest fan of the week? I'm embarrassed by a couple of things here. I don't know if this is happening to you guys. I'm legitimately embarrassed by this. I have peanut shells all over the floor of my car because I have been...
in the car, Dan?
Yeah.
That's on you. That's a wild move.
I know.
That stoplight just like...
That is opulence. How often do you get your car washed? That is a man that gets it washed daily.
Not daily, but I have. You can go out there. You can take a camera out there, and you will see in the passenger seat that there are. You will see that there are some peanut shells. I've cleaned it up. I actually had to get up.
This is the richest shit you've ever done.
Listen. Somebody has video or a photograph of me at a stoplight getting out of the car and brushing the skins and the shells off.
Getting out of the car, like standing up and getting out of the car at a red light?
Because I didn't want to come in here and do it in here. Like I didn't want to come in here and do it when I was parked. Yeah, because we've got so many peanuts out here. And I want to put a couple of things on the poll here at Le Batard Show. This is something I literally hadn't thought of since childhood. Do you feel genuine delight when your peanut-shelled peanut has 3 peanuts in it and you can tell from outside?
Oh, that's one of the great feelings. It's like that and finding a 20 in your pocket.
And do you feel ripped off if you get a peanut that's hard to crack that only has 1 peanut in it? I legitimately, what I'm doing there, because I have not eaten peanuts this way since the first time I was in Yankee Stadium, which is one of my most magical childhood memories. Like, because I'm not only discovering, okay, keep in mind, I'm growing up in a South Florida that doesn't have any professional sports at the time except the Dolphins and Yankee spring training. And I'm going to Yankee Stadium for the first time. And at Yankee Stadium, I'm discovering that I can eat peanuts and just throw shells on the floor. That is just look at Roy. What are you rubbing your hands together? You're delighting at the.
No, I'm waiting for the punchline, Dan. You know what it is.
What is the punchline? That I was 46 years old?
Yes.
Who was on the hill, Dan? Do you remember?
Oh no, I don't remember.
Who were they playing against?
I don't remember. I just remember the peanuts. I remember holding my father's hand because this was. The Orange Bowl did this for me, and Yankee Stadium did this for me. And in adulthood, Wrigley Field did it for me just because it was ancient, where I just got a feeling of discovery on something that would be whatever it is that children feel when they go to Disney World for the first time. But I'm not sure which made me happier, discovering that I could just throw shells on the floor of a place and eat delicious peanuts, or watching Yankee baseball. Because we really didn't have pro sports down here. But before I get to Tua and Cam, who is our Hampton Farms winner for Nuttiest Fan of the Week?
Congratulations to the guy that held up the Pongkon Pinga sign.
Oh, my God.
Pong!
The
Roy.
I thought you
Ping
were
pong.
certainly get pan.
Okay. I'm not
One more time,
Hispanic.
Roy. One more
Let's
time.
try it one more time. Pal.
Pongkon Pinga.
Okay, there we go.
All right, a little bit.
Thank you.
You want to do the next part?
No.
Boy, pan.
Yeah, that guy is this week's Nuttiest fan, presented by Hampton Farms, the official snack nut of the tailgate. Keep an eye out for Lucy Rodine at Arkansas if you think you are the team's Nuttiest fan.
We have good college football to talk about today, but to translate, pan con pinga is bread with dick, and we're all out of bread.
Yeah, and that played out on the field Saturday night. I did just go check out Dan's car. I think we have a photo of it, and I can confirm peanut shells are in that car. Somehow, not the strangest thing on his car floor. There are 4 huge jugs of distilled water. I don't know what that's about.
Worrisome.
That was actually more strange to me than the peanut shells.
Yeah. Well, if you must be this kind of invasive, I volunteered this, and so I invited it. I told you guys recently that my elevator in my building has now been broken for 3 months, okay? And I have water that's delivered by the giant jug, but nobody wants to bring it up 8 flights of stairs. So I now have to buy distilled gallons of water in order to have the water I need. And I'm walking upstairs with them 2 at a time because I have to have water. What are you guys looking at me like this for?
You drink distilled
I don't think
water?
you're supposed to drink it.
I have distilled water for a sleep apnea machine that I need. I have
jetpack,
distilled
yeah.
water for coffee that gets run through the machine. But wait a minute. What do you mean you're not supposed to drink distilled water? I'd be learning that for the first time.
Can you just drink distilled water like from the jug?
I
don't know.
thought it was for cleaning wood.
Yeah.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Find out if I'm going to get sick here. Maybe
I thought it was for the Navage only.
And if you kept searching through my car, you would find even stranger things. But Mike, that's the cleaned up version of my car. Like that's me at a stoplight brushing all of this off of me. But I'm telling you, I wonder if you guys have any of this. Do you guys, surely, if you've lost parents or you had somebody who cooked in your family, you have stuff that tastes like childhood, stuff that tastes better because it's not just that you're eating something, but you're eating something that comes with memories. Certainly, you guys can answer that question for me. There must be smells for you from childhood cooking that you recognize as well.
Smells for sure. Dunkaroos. Those take me back.
Do any of the rest of you have a childhood meal or childhood food that tastes a little better in adulthood because it's reminding you of something? Peanuts are one of the few. I'm telling you, I probably haven't had cracked shell peanuts in about 40 years.
My dad's ribs. Those barbecue ribs are awesome. And the smell of charcoal brings me back to eating that.
Let's go ahead and play this sound of Cam Newton here talking about Tua before we get to some of the other stuff going on locally. A lot of people are talking about Tua now. Nick Wright was on with us last week and said we got to take the microphones away from Tua because he sounds sensitive and defensive, and he's not quite in the position right now to argue against his detractors from 0-3, with Billy saying that Monday is another must-win.
Yeah,
Billy?
must-win Monday Night Football. Dolphins, Jets.
I agree.
Thank you. You disagree with that?
Well, I think their season's already over.
Oh,
well,
you definitely need to
if you
win.
want any hope for the season to not be over, then you absolutely need to win. And this might be a Waterloo game.
No, you can't keep doing this, Mike.
It's like the fifth one
You
this
can't
season.
keep doing this.
I mean, I don't expect all these Waterloo games, but this one for sure, for both teams.
Among the problems that the Dolphins have, I heard Orlovsky talk about this today, the way the game has been altered, you better have a McBride. You better have a tight end that you throw to 10 times a game. They had one last year in Jonnu Smith. They traded him. The best of the offenses they've had 2 years before that, they turned Gesicki into somebody who was a problem as a fourth and fifth option. I think they're getting the worst tight end results this year of anybody in the league. They do not have that as an option in their offense.
But that was Chris Greer again with roster construction, where they decided we don't want to pay Jonnu Smith, so they let him. Well, they trade him. They let him go. And then the backup plan is hopefully Darren Waller can come out of retirement and produce for this team. And he hasn't even seen the field.
That's a bad.
And people are right so far on Waller, and I am very wrong in being hopeful that that was what was going to open up the field in the middle. But now what you see happening to the Dolphins is they're being dared to throw to the outside because the middle of the field has been taken away. I saw some highlights from that 70-point game against Denver, and what you see is just Tyreek Hill running across the middle of the field, and there's no one within 20 yards of him when he's the second or third option. That's all been taken away because they don't get any tight end production, and they're just daring Tua to throw to the outside. But here's Cam Newton talking about Tua.
Tua Tagovailoa is making more than Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, Jaden Daniels. Am I pocket watching? No. I'm putting things into perspective here. Mm-hmm. What Biggie say? More money, more problems. Well, in this case, it should be more money, more expectations. When I see Tua Tagovailoa over this year alone, I've heard him more than I ever have. That's not to say you can't talk. Right. I like quiet Tua, Alabama Tua, chip on the shoulder Tua. Not, is somebody going to come in and watch film? Hey, let's see what this is. Hey, I was this since I was that. Taking certain things. Man, bro, what you're being paid, what you're asked to do, what you have the capability of from one quarterback to the other, I look at a situation as like, bro, come on, dog.
It is really crazy to see that both players, both quarterbacks who were in Carolina, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, are now reinvented somewhere else. Darnold has been better so far this season in Seattle than he was in Minnesota. Let's play Tua's response here to Cam Newton.
Cam Newton saying at the other time.
Well, anybody can play quarterback in this league then. I mean, I want to see anybody on the streets come and play quarterback. I mean, Cam's doing his thing for sure, but you know, I think it's easier to be able to hold a clicker and talk about it that way, or talk about what someone else is doing wrong when you're not going out and having to do the same as them, right? So I think it's easy to do that. I think anybody can do that. But I don't think anybody can play quarterback.
I mean, I'm worried about Tua.
He knows that Cam Newton played the game at a very high level.
It doesn't seem like he remembers, right?
He was the MVP of the league.
He's like, it's easy to
really good.
It's easy to armchair me from like a studio. Like that guy's got the bona fides.
I would rather have Cam Newton start on Monday night than Tua.
That's crazy.
I think the Dolphins would have a greater chance of winning the
Did
football
you
game.
see Cam his last 2 seasons?
Well.
I'd rather him just take the ball and run it 3 yards at a time right up the middle in a QB draw than what the offense is going to be with Tua.
Even when he was on a decline, though, he had a couple of like games.
He has moments.
He had showed you. It's
been a while
that game
since
against
he's gotten
the Seahawks.
physically abused as a quarterback.
Yeah, like I
let
think
him go out there.
I think he's got one more in him. The thing with Tua is there wasn't much of a debate on paying Tua nationally. Like the main concern is, can we invest this much money in a guy that is a hit away? more so than, I mean, I know everybody's a hit away, but more so than the average person. That was the real debate. It was never really the performance because everybody was pretty well convinced that if this guy is healthy, he's worth the money. It's pretty shocking that he's healthy, presumably healthy, and he's bad right now.
You have heard me make the argument that the Dolphins, a regional team, have 3 personalities that are nationally relevant, all of them polarizing: McDaniel, Tyreek Hill, and Tua. And the most polarizing of them is Tua, because we've been arguing for seasons now, is he good? Is he worth the money? And you're right when you say that most of us would have said, just like you paid Trevor Lawrence, if Trevor Lawrence is going to get that money, then Tua deserves something close to that money. But I think I can make the argument as we speak here, when all of us know that in sports, what happened to Barkov can happen to anyone at any time. You're doing things that are physical, injury risks are prevalent, and they are largely random. But I go ahead and defy you to take all of sports right now and give me a guy more likely to be injured in the way we do the diagnosis while assessing what players are than that guy, where you just assume that he's a bigger injury risk than other people because you're assuming he's a hit away from retirement. Like if I gave you all of sports and said, give me a name that you just think of, and I know it's not fair, but it's what we're doing.
Yeah,
like
retirement's different. I do think Joe Burrow is inching towards that conversation. Like this guy's more likely to get injured on a given hit, even one that looks like kind of run-of-the-mill. But career-ending, it's Tua by a wide gulf.
Christian McCaffrey's not too far away. Like it feels like he's a couple hits away from like, ooh, something's not really right.
It's not even so much hits with him because he's still running pretty hard. I mean, he's out there and he's been excellent this season. I think he's shocking a lot of people with how good he's been. But it's like he's got all these like muscular injuries and
ligaments.
That's scary.
Chris Olave is good for 2 concussions a season.
Yeah, I'm worried about him.
If he has another bad concussion, like we might be talking to a status there.
It is interesting though when I think about it to just offer the audience, I'm giving you all of sports. Who's the guy that you think is the biggest injury risk? And Dolphin quarterback is where a lot of us are going down here. I want to talk for a second before Dave Dameshek comes on here to talk yet more football about, do you guys know the team, the team that has the most explosive plays by percentage in the entire league, the offense that has the most explosive plays by percentage?
I would guess Tony's MVP candidate, Indianapolis, just because I never see them punt.
The answer to the question is the Seahawks.
Wow, dude. Look, Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach, and I think we all kind of attributed what we saw from Sam Darnold for the first time to a great head coach that knows how to coach quarterbacks. He's doing this now with a defensive-minded head coach. And I got to say, he looks terrific. Not just the results on the field. No, he physically looks terrific. This dude was a little puffy in college. He was puffy his entire career. His body looks lean. He's flashing athleticism. It looks like he's learned from all the stops.
It's not just lean. He looks Josh Allen big. Like you see him on the field and he looks big. We've learned the last couple of seasons that he can run, that he surprises you with his ability to run. But he also just looks thicker, larger. When it comes to that position and how often people get hurt, the first couple of weeks of the season, we lost 5 starting quarterbacks. That by percentage is an enormous amount. And our analysis the first month of the season is going to be irrelevant a month from now because of all the people who do get injured in that sport. But he does look physically impressive. And they have a 21% explosive completion rate. And what they did last night was produce a game that you didn't have to pay attention until the last 4 minutes of that football game. The last 4 minutes of that football game ended up taking more than 30 minutes of real time, and it was all decided in there. And it was interesting because Kyler Murray, who's never been pressured like that. It was 6 sacks, and he had less time to throw than he ever does. And he got bailed out on a 4th and 4 by Wilson that he threw too early, but he was getting rid of a one-handed catch. He was getting rid of the ball very fast. And the thing that won't be analyzed about last night's game, because we'll talk about everything else, is you cannot be the Arizona kicker and let them start at the 40-yard line because you can't kick off correctly.
All right. I am really upset that I have to learn these kickoff rules. I thought, what's this drop zone?
Wait, what do you mean?
I don't like it. And now, you got dirty kicks. Mike Vrabel's breaking down film of Carolina's dirty kicks. That's a stupid way to lose a bet because a dude was just trying to be sneaky and it bounces 2 feet. Look, what was so wrong about the previous kickoff rule? I know we didn't get run backs. Maybe back them up 5 yards so you can get some run backs. And it was a player safety thing, but this thing is confusing and is bad. I don't like it. That game was awesome.
Okay, you can change all the rules that you want. You still can't be the kicker in that situation and allow Darnold with 30 seconds left to start at his own 40-yard line in a tie game when this is what you got at the early parts of that game. Kyler Murray, first 9 drives, 130 yards, 6 points. Last 2 drives, 119 yards, 14 points. They come all the way back. You have all the momentum in the game. You've come back in a game you don't have a business being in because so far Marvin Harrison looks a bit like a bust, and even the touchdown catch he had in the second half, that catch by probability rate, he wasn't open at all.
No zero separation from that guy.
It's weird to see. I don't even understand. I really don't understand how that player who I saw in college, who was better than everybody else, isn't faster than the people in the pros in any appreciable way when he was drafted to be faster than the people in the pros.
And he spent his entire offseason getting heavier and slower. He put on 25 pounds of muscle. Dude, that guy, you said that there wasn't a reason to watch that game outside of the last 4 minutes. I disagree. I was locked in on Marvin Harrison Jr. loafing the entire time. You want to talk about this dude has the worst body language I think I've ever seen. No. I was just on there's a saying that I have with my football friends dating back 15 years, Vrabel Cam. Towards the end of Mike Vrabel's playing career, I was just fixated on him because he was getting old and he was out of position, and I'm like, man, this guy's bad. So ever since then, anytime I think a player is bad, I lock him in on Vrabel Cam. Marvin Harrison's been on Vrabel Cam this entire season. You can tell when it's a run because he barely gets off the line of scrimmage. He looks like he hates being out there, and maybe that's a thing. Maybe he just hates football, but it is painful. I know who his father is. He was a great player. He was a great player. I'm sure his father is probably disappointed in the young man.
No.
And you don't want that guy being disappointed in you.
No. This is a Jonathan Gannon problem, obviously.
I want to talk about him for a second because I don't believe there's a more stoic coach in the league. Every time they go to a camera angle on him, and the truck is saying this is a situation to go to the Arizona coach to see his reaction. He looks exactly the same way. So put this on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. And I'm bummed that Zaz isn't here today because he's been waiting for this question all his life. At Le Batard Show, would you respect Jonathan Gannon more if he went by John? Historically, who are the great Jonathans in sports? If I give you Ogden, I'll give you Ogden as a table setter.
Jonathan Taylor?
Huberdeau?
Vilma?
Vilma?
Papelbon.
I think I still got you guys on Ogden.
Follows me for
Ogden
some
is the
reason.
best, yeah.
Papelbon follows you?
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's a random one. We'll get Dameshek to chew on that one a little bit.
Jonathan, I believe you are a lesser athlete in sports that we will respect less if you go by Jonathan instead of John. If I give you him as John Gannon, you would think that he's got more control over his team.
No doubt. That's an action movie star. I'm building a franchise around John Gannon.
But not Jonathan.
No, Jonathan Gannon. Why does he go by Jonathan? Yeah, I don't like that. That is a bad move. You should be worried about this coach just because John Gannon's right there for him.
Yeah.
What about Johnny?
Johnny Gannon, fine.
I like Johnny.
Johnny
Gannon's cool.
Out of all the options, we can all agree. Jonathan, worst.
Worst Gannon, yeah.
Do you guys agree, though? And I'm not watching a ton of Arizona football, but every time I see
shouldn't, by the way.
Jonathan Gannon, he is stoic. Oh, well, I'll do you one better here.
I was worried last night, Dan.
We'll get to that in a second. I'm going to give you guys all the games the Arizona Cardinals have played since Kurt Warner took them to the Super Bowl. Give me a reason to watch any of them. Give me a memory from any. If our
Carson Palmer had a good team.
If our show, I'm not saying they haven't had good seasons. I'm saying if our show had to, as an assignment, prove to me that we had to talk about one Arizona Cardinals thing since Kurt Warner was in the Super Bowl. If I told you our show, since Kurt Warner was in the Super Bowl, had never once discussed Arizona Cardinals football, would you be able to prove me wrong by saying, what about this one time with this one game with this one moment?
Yeah, the one time, the one game is Aberdera's Hail Mary, Mike McCarthy once again blowing it for Aaron Rodgers, Carson Palmer beats that was a great team. That was post-Kurt Warner, and we waxed poetic about Larry Fitzgerald's ass.
Exactly, Larry Fitzgerald's ass. That's the one thing.
That was mine, too. I was going to say, we spent a lot of time on that.
Beautiful kisser on the young man.
It was.
Johnny Gannon drove a Corvette in high school, right?
Oh, for sure.
Johnny Gannon's like a high-flying OC. He's averaging 40 points a game.
Johnny Gannon slays.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we really need to sell this episode because Dan sees these things.
Yes.
So let's do it.
Yes.
All right, today we talk about my
Toast.
top 10 white sauces of all time.
Good number one.
Fuentes is super happy today.
I am?
So far, Dan's like,
No.
yeah, this is going to be a great episode. Like, I'm really glad we recorded this promo episode.
Tony, you're the kook meter.
The kook meter was rising on the Dark Forest
We
theory.
just talked about Dark Forest hypothesis. It's just an hypothesis, not proven.
Shoe tying? Bunny?
Shoe tying.
Bunny?
Tony.
Yeah.
I've got the quickest gun in the West when it comes to shoe tying.
I gotta admit,
No one's disturbing.
Yeah, but
Nope.
What?
no one's disturbing.
No one's debating that. I don't know.
Disturbing.
No, that was it. Yeah.
He was thinking about the white sauce.
Sorry, Dan.
It is
That was
impressive
disturbing.
that Tony knows how to tie a shoe
This
three
has
different
been an
ways.
even worse promo than the first one.
Shit! The first one was great. What happened?
Watch Mystery Crate, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Roy just asked me, where's Papi? Because we've seen him rummaging around in the kitchen, and I just said to him, I cannot and have never been able to control that old man. He's on his own time. He does whatever it is that he wants. I asked him to come in here. All I heard him say, he didn't even say good morning to me. You know what he says to me with breakfast breath? He just says, Belichick with an 18-year-old girl. That's all he said.
What?
That would be news.
Another girlfriend?
Well, my father did a little exaggeration when it wasn't necessary.
Is Pablo out of the Belichick business?
It's funny that you mentioned Pablo before we get to Dave Dameshek, because I do not doubt him, and I believe that Pablo Torre will indeed be able to keep doing the things like he did with Kawhi Leonard. However, it might be hard given that his last episode is a great question. Tony, maybe you can answer it, but it's not quite the Kawhi Leonard news. It's just, why isn't there tickling in MMA?
Interesting.
It's a great question.
Yeah. There's all the open availabilities for it, right? You got your fingers out of the gloves. You got feet out there. You got armpits. You got coquillita en la pancita. Like, it could happen.
You would disarm your opponent if he is indeed
Like,
tickled.
oh, what are these? What are they? Oh.
Is the claw legal?
Ooh, that's
Can you do the
another
claw?
good question. The claw.
Like Kerry Von Erich?
Yeah.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. I don't know why my father just simply refused to come in here and is now having coffee
Sitting
in
with
the
Frankie.
other room with Frankie. I don't know. He just does whatever he wants to. I've never been able to control him. Dave Dameshek, I will tell you again that Football America show that is on Mondays and Fridays is very good, and we will get his expertise on what it is that we were just talking about here. Marvin Harrison, can you explain to me why it is that he's not any good? Because it's confusing to me, and they kind of need him to be a number one receiver so that everything that Kyler Murray does doesn't die on the vine.
Sucks.
Well, I'm assuming that it was the model that was David Boston about 25 years ago, Arizona Cardinals receiver who decided to get jacked up like he was in the WWE. And so Marv Harrison Jr. followed that model, and here we are now. I have a number of notes for you on what you guys have been talking about so far, by the way. I can Devil's Dameshek a couple of points that you guys have made there so far. I think the great paradox of injury prone, you guys should know this in the Sunshine State, although you're dealing with it now with Tua. It must be a Florida-based thing, because the two biggest names associated with football that I can think of that are considered injury-prone guys, or at least were Frank Gore of the U, who then had, ironically, about as long a career as anybody ever had, and the other guy who belongs in the Hall of Fame, even though the buzz about him was, boy, if he could just stay on the field, Fred Taylor. Both of those guys were durable bangers deep into their careers, despite the fact that they were both considered to be injury-prone at the front end of their career. So maybe there's some optimism for Tua.
Do you dispute the point that I was making, that you would have trouble finding someone else anywhere in sports more associated with, I'm worried he's going to get hurt?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think, my hockey brain goes to Eric Lindros, who kind of had that, and prior to him, Mario Lemieux. But yeah, I think you're spot on. In the year of our Lord 2025, Tua is the face, sadly, of injury prone.
There was a player in the NBA that people were worried about. Right now, that player is Kawhi Leonard, and he's fulfilling that prophecy. But it was like 11 years ago, or probably a little bit longer, where we were all super worried about Steph Curry's career and those ankles. And we were questioning, who do you build around, Monte Ellis or Steph Curry? Because Steph Curry's ankles are so bad.
I like my fashion friend Mike there, dressed like the Craig Elo era Cleveland Cavalier. Remember when they wore those?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the fit. I am suffering right now. It's a tough punishment. This does not breathe.
Dewey.
The CK jeans are a little snug.
Don't show us that part of yourself.
I've been
please.
doing some work
Don't-
on
don't-
it. He's trimmed.
I don't want to see that. Please don't show us that.
body rolls.
No, stop doing that. Can you walk us through what it is that you saw last night and what it is that you're seeing from Sam Darnold when I say the most explosive offense by completion percentage of passes thrown that go for big plays is somehow, a month into the season, Seattle and Sam Darnold?
It's a good question, Daniel. Are we going with Daniel now? We're going full names.
I went
from
with
here
Danny
on out, right?
through college. My byline in college was
And
Danny Le Batard. He's the only one who calls me Danny because that was my byline in college.
Why'd you change it?
To be more mature.
Oh.
Because Billy.
Oh, get out of here.
I didn't
know
change
what?
my name.
I know you remained Billy to be not more mature.
Can I tell you something? I am William David Dameshek, and my parents saw fit to go with David. But I contend that, Billy did it exactly right. He's Billy as a grown man now. And when you get into the teen years, you feel like, I want to be more mature. I don't want to be like a grown-up. And so then you go Bill. And that's now things are all out of whack. If you can make it as an adult, I wish I were Billy Dameshek. I think I would be 10 times cooler if that were the case.
You wouldn't
and I
be.
think, well, okay, debatable. But I'll say this. If either... Is it a coincidence that 2 of our 5 late night hosts still, currently, not last week, but right now, our late night hosts are named Jimmy? Now, if they were Jim, if it were Jim Kimmel, he would not be a late night host right now. The fact that he is Jimmy is a defining sort of, it colors in who he is before you even see him, right? Jimmy, he's a grown man. He's fun.
Yeah, John Carson. Totally different guy.
Look what happened to James Corden. He's out of here.
Yeah. You see? Proves the point, right?
Dan, I can help you a little bit in the Sam Darnold conversation.
Oh, yeah, Samuel Darnold. Yes, back to Samuel Darnold.
Through 4 games.
Dameshek's doing whatever he wants.
Yeah,
here.
which I like about Dave. Through 4 games, 21% of the Seahawks pass plays have produced an explosive completion. That is the highest rate in the NFL. Based on EPA per pass play and success rate, Sam Darnold is performing better with the Seattle Seahawks than he did last year with the Vikings. That comes courtesy of Shale Kapadia.
Well, it's been 7 years since the 2018 draft, and Mike Ryan was actually on Football America last week, and we had this discussion. Is the 2018 QB class, because of the rise of Sam Darnold lately, and then a year or 3 ago when Baker Mayfield kind of turned his thing around, is the 2018 class that obviously also includes Lamar and Josh Allen, is it now worthy of being on the winner's stand up there with the 1983 QB class, Elway Marino, Jim Kelly, Ken O'Brien, and the 2004 class, Big Ben, Phil Rivers, Eli Manning? It feels like it points at the fact that just because in the 21st century that the way the draft works and contracts work and the term of those deals, that you jam your quarterback in there. If you draft him in the first round, you're likely to be playing him in his rookie season, Patrick Mahomes being the looming exception to that, is that every QB is different and they do not hit the ground running necessarily. Kyler Murray did, but he kind of feels like he's hit his ceiling. Sam Darnold, kind of like Baker Mayfield, I guess, has found success a little deeper into his career, and it harkens back to maybe like a Jim Plunkett sort.
Well, you say kind of like Baker Mayfield. Now, I don't know what I'm doing here. I do know that it's probably not fair, but it is hard sometimes to change opinions once you've established them. Baker Mayfield has changed my mind, but I always liked Baker Mayfield more than I liked Sam Darnold. I didn't believe in Sam Darnold last year. I believed the Vikings season would end the way that it did, and then Sam Darnold was seeing ghosts. He has not yet changed my mind. What am I doing there? Should I change my mind? Am I simply wrong in saying, no, I know what Sam Darnold's ceiling is, and I'm not going to trust it to win a playoff game? I'm not going to trust either one of those teams last night to be meaningfully good teams that are going to be competing for the Super Bowl, no matter what their record is. Even if one of them ends up being what last year's Vikings were, I'm making it very hard for Sam Darnold to change my mind, and I don't know why I'm doing that. It feels unfair.
I don't think it's unfair. I mean, it's 7 years now, and 21st century history indicates that if a guy is going to make a Super Bowl run, he is more likely to do it in his first 5 or 6 years than he is on the other side of that. I do think that it is a real thing that for all the talk in the QB league about who is a QB whisperer, KOC is one of the genuine articles, and there are very few of them. And perhaps he really did turn around Sam Darnold in a meaningful way that has carried over into this year. And by the way, that Seahawks team is for real. I think the skepticism about the Cardinals is a little more well-placed at this point, but I have been about Mike McDonald since he got there, and now that they land the QB, I don't think Sam Darnold is a top 5 quarterback, but I don't think he is a strike against your team in a big game until we prove it. We haven't really seen him outside of last year at 14-3 in the playoffs as he sort of was imploding there. We haven't really seen Sam Darnold in a big spot, but it does point to, as far as I'm concerned, this rolling conversation, and I heard you with Nick Wright last week. I don't understand. I think he and I park our cars in the same garage on this. This desire, the advanced analytics community has steered us weirdly into this place where the most impactful moments, and there are not a lot of them in a quarterback's career, but those small moments or those few moments that a guy gets in January are the defining aspects of the guy's career. So you're right, I guess, that Sam Darnold hasn't shown us anything yet. So until he does in the big spot, which is in the playoffs, you know, your cynicism where he's concerned is well placed. That's what it's all about. This advanced analytics, too small a sample size to evaluate. You mean the entire point of every season, who gets the Lombardi? We're going to diminish those moments in favor of what happens in October or in September against the Cardinals? Feh.
Well, you say that, you dismiss me with your feh, but I've seen Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer win titles, and I've seen Dan Marino not. And
exceptions that prove the rule.
Okay, fair enough. Can you tell me, Tony, and can you tell Dameshek why you're out on Kyler Murray? Because he just said we've seen his ceiling, and a couple of weeks ago you said, I'm done watching this. I know what this is. It's not going to get any better. I think he's a wildly exciting quarterback, but I'm watching him in last night's game, like I said, and that's as bad as he can look in the first half.
The issue is that with his athleticism, he thinks he can kind of get out of every situation and make a play happen. And to a point, like, yes, he can. Like, you sent me a video the other day of a Carolina game where he scrambled out through 19 guys, made a run, slid, gained 25 yards. The issue is, I think as a passer, he's kind of regressed a little bit. Dave, you can back me up on this. Like, it feels like there's open throws that he can make that he chooses not to opt in for his athleticism to roll out and try to make something else big happen. He doesn't trust his throws to the middle of the field. I feel like a lot of the stuff he's throwing is to the boundaries. If McBride is covered in the middle of the field, like, he kind of doesn't really know what to do. I've just been out on Kyler Murray as a prospect, where now I'm just like, he is what he is. He's a running quarterback that's going to try to get his stuff, but I don't think there's any ceiling like that. Like, this is the ceiling for Kyler Murray. He's an okay guy who's going to give you 9 wins on a good year.
That sounds about right to me. I mean, he is. There has been little evidence that he can week to week. I mean, that's the book on him, is that he's just good enough to get you, exactly like Tony just said, to 9 and 8 ish. Is he the man? I mean, it's a bad look when he's announcing, I don't really like to study film. I mean, he's the face of the team. So I think that's any sort of skepticism about this guy is warranted when he is the one announcing that, the homework part of it, I'm not into it, when obviously we all understand at this point that's what it's all about for the most important position in sports.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Worst look for Kyler Murray. I don't really like to watch film, or I'm taking a photograph with a pit bull wearing a Michael Vick jersey.
Yeah. In fairness to Kyler Murray, maybe he's matured since then. That's a narrative that surrounded him a couple years ago, coming off of an outstanding rookie campaign. But I took Dominique Foxworth's advice, and I watched a second, I know it's on site, I had a second screen experience with the All-22, and here's what I discovered. No one's getting open for Kyler Murray. No one. You want to talk about the middle of the field? There's only one guy there that gets consistently open for him, and he force feeds him the ball. Those wide receivers get zero separation. If anything, I came away super encouraged with Kyler Murray's performance because he was trying to make it happen. He was forcing the ball into tight windows. His receivers were making plays down the stretch, but guys are not getting open for him. That is a very good defense that he went up against. Now, I do think that he's not without criticism. In fact, at one point, the graphics team put up Kyler Murray has the second worst win winning percentage of a starting quarterback, minimum starts in that division in NFL history against the NFC West. And the worst one was Rick Meyer. Rick Meyer didn't play in that division. He was in the AFC West. Kyler Murray barely has a 200 win percentage. And when you think about the Arizona Cardinals, they've been feisty. They've had like one bad year, but they've been feisty. It's surprising that division has his number the way that they do.
So you go to a quarterback coach, right, with Cliff Kingsbury, where he chose, like, Rosen was out. Cliff Kingsbury got the job. He said, Rosen, you're gone. I'm getting Kyler Murray. And he had time to work with him. Now we see what he did with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is basically a special player, agreed. But that's what they thought Kyler Murray was going to be, right? He's got his limitations. And if you look at the second half of his career, as far as second half of the year of his careers, like, he's a really bad quarterback. I don't know what happens midway through the season. He just completely falls apart. They had a year where they were 11-0, best team in football, and then completely collapsed.
You may be right, but I think last night, the best player on the field, the offensive side of the ball, was Kyler Murray.
I agree with you.
He did great last night.
He has spots where he looks incredible, but the issue is that he doesn't sustain that for the entire season.
Seattle has beaten them now 8 straight times, and like I said, he was sacked 6 times last night and had to get rid of the ball faster than he ever has to get rid of the ball because he was getting rid of the ball insanely fast. It was always under 2.5 seconds. What are your thoughts there, Dameshek?
Danny, I think that the thing that stands out to me about last night's game is the horrible ending of it. I mean, Kyler Murray, all the buzz about Marv and you know, quitting on plays and all of that and the drops, and then he turns it on for the second half and especially that last drive and then the touchdown catch and Kyler as well and all of that, and they tie the game improbably, and this is so exciting, and I think we're going to overtime, and I knew that the Seahawks were about to get the ball and make one completion and have a field goal shot to win the game, and so they did. This I don't want to get into kicking again, Danny, but it is a plague now, that the way this is operating. And it keeps happening. It's stealing the drama of the sport, which doesn't make any sense because you would think a last-second score to win the game would be super exciting. But I think we can agree it's undermining the actual drama of the sport with those the weird rules and wait, what's going on? What does that mean that the ball hit there and all of that? But now it doesn't matter because he completed one pass because he started at the 40-yard line, and now they get to try to kick a 55-yard field goal, and of course he's going to make it because every kicker makes 55-yard field goals, and now the game's over and it all stinks.
Is Aaron Rodgers prioritizing not getting hit?
Yes, clearly watch him, and I think it's going to get further exposed against the Vikings and Brian Flores this weekend.
Are the Niners done without Bosa?
Yes, he's their Jenga piece, and when you remove, like a game of Jenga, the critical piece, the whole thing implodes. Their ceiling is lowered. There is no home game in Super Bowl 60 for the Niners.
Will Philadelphia and Tampa Bay settle the number 1 seed in the NFC?
It will, and Mike Ryan's going to be thrilled to hear this with his MVP frontrunner, Baker Mayfield and company, are going to win that game outright.
Woo! Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, are you still of the opinion like you were last week that we're letting them off the hook for not winning during the Mahomes era?
Of course. What are we letting off? Is Dan Marino not culpable? Because he didn't win the Super Bowl. He was in the same conference as John Elway and Jim Kelly. I mean, was Fran Tarkenton? Is he let off the hook because he was in the same era as Bradshaw and Staubach and Snake Stabler? This is nonsense. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, you are very rich guys for a reason. Prove it in the big spots come January.
Is Emeka Egbuka already going to be the Rookie of the Year and already a top-tier wide receiver in this league?
Well, clearly he is, but really consider the fact, what if they get Evans and Godwin and Egbuka? Egad.
Egad and Fe, he has hit us with during this show.
Dave, what language is that?
Dave, what are your thoughts on the kickoff rules? We've had a couple season sample now, and it's actually kickers are now being more strategic with how they're doing this, and it's leading to some wonky plays happening to your Steelers.
It stinks. I mean, I get that it's for player safety, and so obviously we don't want guys getting knocked out cold on the football field for our pleasure, but whatever they're doing now ain't working. there is. I'm not interested in investing my limited brain power in understanding what the rules are and what the repercussions are if you don't meet them. It's all terrible. No one is enjoying this. Just do away with it if we have to, and start them at the 25-yard line.
Football America is a great show. It's on Monday and Friday as part of Meadowlark Media. Thank you for turning that down as I turn to a serious societal point about Jimmy Kimmel, because Dameshek used to be a writer for Kimmel. Jeremy, can you look up for me the formal definitions, please, of both fe and egad? I'd like to know the definitions for both of those words. Lovely words I wasn't expecting to hear today. You were a writer for Kimmel. Your thoughts of about everything that happened over the last couple of weeks?
I should explain that maybe the fact came out because I'm drunk on Tylenol right now. I'm not responsible for my own actions. I think that it felt in the moment, and we'll see if it sustains. But I really do and did feel like watching him that a fever kind of broke there, and I think it marries up with the Tom Brady, weirdly. The Tom Brady booth scandal, as much as it's a scandal, because the takeaway for me with Brady sitting there in the booth is, and people say like, well, he's allowed to do it. And why? Here's the question with the Brady thing, and I'll get back to the Kimmel thing, and I'll try to connect my points.
You're doing whatever you want. I'm clear on you just doing whatever you want. I'm eager to hear how it is you're going to make a free speech issue with Jimmy Kimmel about Tom Brady.
Because Tom Brady represents the grotesquely wealthy. And the thing, well, he's allowed to do it. If there is no value in Tom Brady sitting in that booth, then why is he doing it? And the reason that he's allowed to do it, and the people who, Goodell on down, who forgive him, are fellow elites. And it really is, and I forgive the reach here, but he is part Nico Toscani, Steven Seagal, above the law, and he's got some Humbert to it, not the darkest parts of Humbert in Lolita, but the fact that he is this charming, handsome guy is apparently the excuse. Well, he's Tom Brady. Everybody knows him. He's the face of the league. Come on. He's not doing anything wrong except for the plague of scandals that has followed him for 25 years. Never mind all that, because his fellow elites let him off the hook with this. And that is the problem right now. It is the elites against all the rest of us. It really is in our society. And I don't want to make too big a deal about the football hero. But then it connects to Kimmel. What is the difference there? It feels good for we, the proletariat, to say we canceled our Disney Plus subscriptions, and that's what carried the day. But really, in my opinion, the fact is it was the powerful speaking up and using their voices to say this is wrong. That is what will change society. I really do think that that's what it is going to take. And the reason I say the fever broke is because I do think some elites on either side really spoke up, but it was people using their juice to say, whether it was Howard Stern or David Letterman or otherwise, those people speaking up. And that's what we need for our society to get onto a better track than it's on right now. And I really do think those two things sort of highlight I don't know, too big a reach there, Dan?
It was a substantive reach, but I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, here's a reach. Let's say that Disney believes that Nexstar and Sinclair was breach of contract because they preempted Kimmel. Let's say Disney punishes Nexstar and Sinclair and their stations by not showing stuff like, I don't know, college football and Monday Night Football. Do you think that can actually happen?
I think that it was. I thought it was great stuff last week as you guys jumped into it. That people don't fully grasp the juice. It's a little in the weeds, I guess, but the way those late night shows work, especially, and the juice that those affiliate groups have. I think you're exactly right, Roy, that is the pushback. That's what I'm talking about, is the powerful pushing back at these people that are trying to assert their power. And that would be the greatest and funniest thing in the world. In the meantime, I think the great ratings that Kimmel is getting really is a black eye for those affiliate groups. I mean, imagine if you're if you're in Seattle, for instance, and you're not getting the Kimmel show because Sinclair or Nexstar are depriving you of it. Of course, you're going to pound the table for that. But in the meantime, ABC, Disney can really screw those people and say, we're going to assert our juice and take away your football. Deal with that. That seems to me the way out of the mess that we're in.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is it fair to say that Tom Brady has been followed by a plague of scandals, as Dameshek just said? I don't know whether that's fair to say, a plague.
Of course it is. It extends beyond the duration of the dynasty at this point. What are we talking about? Of course. His entire career is a scandal.
An occasional scandal. I don't think it's a plague of scandals, but regardless.
Of course, a plague of scandals, Dan. A plague of scandals starting off. When did we meet him? The Tuck rule. That's just a football one, but of course the deflated. I have to tell you about deflated footballs and videotapes of their playoff foes and him getting Jimmy G banished across Football America because he doesn't like him as his backup. I mean, what do we? The fact that this guy, again, Nico Toscani of Pigskin, is Tom Brady. This is a guy who didn't like that his head coach didn't like that he was steering his teammates into his own rehab facility instead of the team facility. Belichick doesn't like that, understandably. So Brady has to get away from Belichick. So he tries secretly to buy the Miami Dolphins and install himself like Warren Beatty and Heaven Can Wait as the starting quarterback. But that doesn't work out because people get wind of that. So he takes the backup, he takes the fallback in Florida and goes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and uses them. He's a mercenary. It is it's the weirdest, worst, most unsatisfying Super Bowl victory for a city. I've got to think, I don't know how desperate were Tampa Bay football fans to get one. The exchange was a celebration to genuflect to Tom Brady one last time. They were an afterthought in the process, were the Buccaneers. Then he leaves there. He buys the Raiders. Now he's doing what he's doing, whatever he wants. Again, why? Because he's above the law, Dan.
If you want more references to the 1976 movie Heaven Can Wait, watch Football America twice a week, Mondays and Fridays on YouTube. Football America Show is where you go.
I can't believe this. Dave did such a great job highlighting the scandals. He forgot one. Remember the Dolphins flirtation and the tampering? And
he said that. I think he said that.
I mean, like while he was leveraging that with the Raiders. I mean, real bad guy now. I think.
Oh yeah, listen, it's not just deep dives into the distant past. We also deep dive into important football luminaries like Taven Bryan, who factors significantly into why Lamar Jackson is on the Baltimore Ravens right now. We cover that. Of course, everybody down there in the Sunshine State remembers the great Taven Bryan when he was toiling for the Florida Gators.
Get out of here. Good talking to you, Dameshek. We will talk to you next week, sir.
See you, Dave.
Can't wait.
Setting the ship, though, just this last few weeks, we've had Fox go back on the rules and the league go back on the rules because they realize, he's in the box and he's listening to all these coaches talk and he has insight, and also to really clean things up, starting a flag football league in Saudi Arabia. So maybe Dave is on to something.
Is he indeed being paid $75 million for that? I keep hearing people cite that number, and it doesn't sound like it can be real to me.
Yeah, is he going to play or is he going to coach, or honestly, is it his league?
Honestly, in retrospect, maybe we were a little hard on Phil Mickelson.
Oh, come on.
I mean, everybody's doing it. You got Messi, you got Ronaldo, you got rumors of LeBron starting a basketball league with them. You got Chappelle.
Look.
And let me tell you something, America, we don't exactly have the moral high ground on many countries here.
All right, but we laundered the blood money, and now it has been successfully laundered.
Yeah, but we got a superiority complex, pal. Like, our human rights record is slowly dwindling. Hey, you want to go watch a big-time football game?
Wow.
Do you want to watch a big-time football game? Oh, yeah, that game last night is exactly why Jonathan Zaslow and I are so locked in on that's exactly what you want. No team's appreciably better than the other one. Each possession, a 25-yard pass, feeling like it is a massive play. That is great football. I wish I was there in Arizona. Beautiful uniforms from the Cardinals, too, to watch that game. But I'm sure it was a hot ticket. And if something's a hot ticket, how do you even get in that building, Tony? You download the GameTime app. That's what you do. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code DAN. Get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go.
Tony is about to leave with my father to go over to the Freedom Tower. Can you go get my father, though, and bring him in
Yeah, I
here?
will.
Personally, just drag him in here so that we can do Refran del Dia with him. We will get to the definitions of fe, the formal definitions of fe and egad in a second. But first, we have to do, as we will do daily until the World Cup, the Ray Hudson call of the day.
Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson call of the day. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson call of the day. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson call of the day. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson call of the day. Ray Hudson. 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 This is what Dan wanted. This is what Dan wanted. He wanted a call of the day. He wanted Ray Hudson call of the day. What? Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson call of the day. Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson call of the day. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson call of the day. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson. Ray Hudson call of the day. This is what Dan wanted. 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 Hudson Cup. This is what Dan wanted.
The coffee house tricks with the back heels, the back heel flick, and cool as Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. Absolutely imperious Rodolfo Pizarro in this bizarro world.
Where'd my father go, Tony?
Dan, I went to go get him, and I walked outside, and everybody's like, oh, you're looking for Papi? And I was like, yeah. They're like, yeah, he left. And I was like, what do you mean he left? He's like, yeah, he said he'll wait for you at the Freedom Tower. I was like, what? Dan wanted him like 45 minutes ago, and he's like, yeah, he just left.
Rodolfo Pizarro did make me laugh.
I did want to ask my father. I don't think he's been back to the Freedom Tower since he was processed in America at the Freedom Tower. I don't think he's been back since, but Tony's going to go over there with him.
I'm super excited about this, Dan. This is a really cool piece of like our history.
It's going to be a private tour. They haven't even opened it back up yet. It's not opening back up until next month, so I'm going to go over there with you after the show.
All right, I'll see you later.
Jeremy, can you give me these definitions, please? Because fe is a satisfying word to say. Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is fe a satisfying word to say to dismiss someone?
Fe, an exclamation, is conveying disapproval, displeasure, or disgust. Used in a sentence, the greatest writer in the English language, fe. Egad, of course, also an exclamation, expressing surprise, anger, or affirmation.
Tony, make sure you scout out that plot of land next to the Freedom Tower.
That seems like a valuable plot of land. It's just a parking lot
Just
right
given
now.
to the state for what? You'll find out.
Egad is something I have not heard anyone under 80 years old use.
Is that what
as
Kathy
an
would say
expression.
in the comic strip?
I think that's the only place I've heard it said other than Dameshek.
The look of horror on Jeremy's face when he just found out what that plot of land is going to be used for.
Right next to us. Yes, right next to us.
You didn't know what that was?
Here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, here. State is voting on it, and state is controlled by.
I'm moving to New York.
That finished second.
Right next to the Freedom Tower. Will it block? Do we know how much of the airspace is going to be?
It'll be the
taken
tallest, the biggest and the tallest. Don't you worry, Dan.
Are they going to block our view? Is it literally going to block my view?
All of this
freedom?
will age extremely well in a couple of years. Don't worry about it.
It's a giant college football weekend. Mike Ryan has been delighting in the fact that the Virginia line keeps going down. FSU is now, now FSU favored by 6 or 6.5?
6.5. This is a very spooky game for FSU. I think we're going to learn a lot now. FSU, undoubtedly impressive against Alabama, but watching that back, and there's a lot of social media lowlights out there. Was this more about FSU? Was this about Alabama being completely unprepared? There's some damning video out there of guys being totally out of position, loafing around on the field. And since then, Alabama, even though suspect teams, they seem to have righted the ship somewhat. So I'm really curious. On the road at Virginia, we saw a lot of Miami teams that we thought might be for real, that got us excited at the start of the season, go to Charlottesville and lose in a conference game. This Chandler Morris offense of Virginia's can move the ball. I'm curious to see what kind of defense we see from FSU. Castellanos has been on the record saying, in practice, I'm seeing the best defense I'll see all year, and so far he's been proven right. But they played one of the worst FCS teams ever. Kent State won for the record books. This Kent State team may be worse than last year's. So I'm very curious to see how this goes, and I'm taking the Who's with the points.
I'm going to do this. I don't normally do this.
Put the town on alert.
I am going to tell you that I would parlay money lines of Ole Miss and Virginia to win the games outright. I will also tell you I'm a truly epically terrible gambler.
Favorite Brad Williams.
Now, Dan, imagine what you just experienced being a 6-foot whatever man. Now put that in a 4-foot man as I'm trying to cross the street last night, looking at certain puddles going, this could be it. This could be where I go, because the water was moving very fast. I forgot my floaties. I can't swim. I have a very large head that sinks. I have a very fat butt that floats. That's not good for swimming. I'm very nervous. Florida is not a good climate for me.
He instantly goes upside down.
I do. I turn into a fly girl in a club, just face down, ass up. Like, that's me. Instantly in a puddle. Here lies Brad, killed by puddle. That could happen.
Brad Williams makes me laugh all the time, but rarely as much as when he's greeting Mike Golick and they are doing that shoulder handshake, and Mike Golick has to get down and Brad Williams has to climb up. Why didn't you just go in for a straight handshake to say hello?
Because then I nut tap him. Because if I go straight handshake, there's the possibility. And by the way, how much Gojo, were you just holding back? You're like, if I go full shoulder into this guy, he may evaporate into Skittles.
I was more thinking on if I went to pull in, because we went the dap with the hug.
Yeah.
And so there's that pull in the middle, and I was like, are we going to airlift Brad right now? Is this going to end up being like a swinging situation?
Did you go football mentality, low man wins, I'm not going to let this guy beat me.
That is true. I thought about just getting all the way down.
You got down pretty low. I thought you were going to throw out your back.
I was Jason Kelsey tush push stats, trying to get down on all fours there. It was good.
And now I'm realizing that I missed my calling as an O lineman.
God, could you
Low
imagine?
man wins.
Brad Williams led tush push, unstoppable.
Well, not only was it funny because visually that was funny, you were also interrupting a story of Brad Williams kicking a one-legged man out of his last show. That's the story that you interrupted.
I did. There is no love lost between people who share parking in the handicapped space. He was gone. Get out of my show, sir.
Now, did you know he was one-legged before you kicked him out?
I did not. I did not.
So when he gets up,
I was in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and where all the one-legged people hang out, and the guy was talking way too much, and it's the worst kind of heckler to me. I will gladly take a heckler that yells out "F you" more than a guy that loves me but is just talking too loud and commenting on every joke and be like, "That's so true when you did that." Like, God damn it.
Oh, that's a great joke, Brad Williams.
Yeah,
that's great. You're killing it, Brad.
That's what I'm doing. It's like he's encouraging me, but it's like your mom clapping too loud in the stands. Like, "Mom, shut up! I can do this." And so I talked to him. He's like, "Hey, I paid good money to get in here," and I like, "Dude, you gotta shut up." And I finally had to kick him out. So he stands up and he does the walk. And when he walks, the pant leg goes up and I see the shiny metal underneath. And I'm like, oh no. Oh, no. And I kind of, and then because I can't filter thoughts, I go, you have one leg, sir?
Oh, so you just decided to play with the cards out.
Let's go. And then he turns and goes, yep. And I was like, am I kicking out a soldier? Did you serve? And he goes, "Nah, car accident." And I'm like, okay, get out. Like, if it's a soldier, then yeah. But I actually kept talking to him, and then because I felt bad, I invited him back. And he sat down, and we proceeded with the show. But then it just kept going. He got his second chance to the point where now I see the faces of the people around him being uncomfortable, and I'm like, all right, well now you. So I kicked him out again.
No,
I kicked him out again, and he gave me the whole like, well, do you know how much I paid for these tickets? And I go, an arm and a leg. Oh.
It's time for Vegas legend Carrot Top.
The man is a legend, and he's a legend in Vegas where it's hard to be a legend. I've seen him. His face is ID to get into all the big places. And he's also, though, he's a Florida guy as well, and I think he should be a Panther fan because he grew up in Boca. So I don't know where he is, but I believe he's bigger than Wayne Newton now. He's more Vegas than Wayne Newton, and I'm not joking when I say comedy legend for 40 bleeping years. 40 bleeping years and still doing it 4 times a night in Vegas. You, Carrot Top, Mr. Top, are rooting for who in this series?
You can't say 40 bleeping years. It just doesn't sound cool. You know, you gotta say 40 years. But it's going to be really rough. This might be the hardest decision of my life, being from Boca. I think I performed at the Sunrise Musical Theater when I was young. But my roots, I mean, I'm in Vegas. They're listening to me right now. I'm here in Las Vegas, and it's tough. I got to be honest. I think my heart is a little more for Las Vegas.
What? No!
I know.
No!
I'm here
you
every night.
sell out. You sell out.
Are you cranking it before the game?
Yeah. You mean like drugs?
No, I mean the thing where you crank it and you get everybody hyped.
Hey,
The Dan Le Batard Show is sponsored by Liquid IV. Don't let the grind drain you. Ditch the glitch with zero sugar and zero crash from Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code DAN at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code DAN at liquidiv.com. It's the energy that just hits different. Balanced, steady, and smooth thanks to L-theanine and caffeine. I keep a few of these packets with me wherever I go. Gym, work, travel, because it's simple. Tear, pour, mix, and you're good.
The last couple of days, Jeremy has been at the whiteboard, and he has been giving you 2-team tiebreakers in Major League Baseball in the National League because the Marlins were playing meaningful games the last week of the season. 2-team tiebreakers, 3-team tiebreakers, 4-team tiebreakers, 5-team tiebreakers, 6-team tiebreakers. Let's go out to Jeremy right now and find out what the latest update is on Marlins baseball. Jeremy, you have bored us with the permutations. You've done a lot of math. That's never good in audio. Where are we now? What is the latest update?
Thanks, Dan. It's over.
Okay, very good. Mike Ryan watched his first Marlins game of the season last night.
Yeah, first Marlins game. Yeah.
We lured you in.
I was.
With baseball talk.
Wanted, look, you guys support me often when I have passions, highlight hockey and what have you. I wanted to be a team player and get aboard, and boy, did those fish put on a show for me.
Yeah, they lost 1-0 against the Phillies. Not a very interesting game.
I mean, there were plenty of times where I'm like, "Ooh, tying run at the dish."
Yeah, and then. It wasn't.
I thought that last at bat though, deep fly ball to center. Right? That could have been a go ahead play right there. I was in, and then I just went on living my life watching NFL football.
Billy, you want to give us a eulogy, a trulogy? What do you want to give us for your beloved Marlins? They're the team you care about the most.
The Marlins have passed. They came into this season with not much hope and expectations, and surprised many. Served their purpose. They got us from basketball-ish / hockey season to the NFL, had us smile, had us laugh, had everybody in Miami doing the fish one more time.
I don't feel like that's accurate. I don't feel like everybody in Miami was doing the fish.
I wanted to do the fish. I got to tell you, though, not the greatest hook for me to make my return to baseball here.
Rain delays kind of stunk in this series.
Yeah. They didn't exactly cover themselves in glory. I would love to have gotten excited about the players that you guys were telling me about, but nobody did anything.
There's still time. There's one series left. I mean, they're out of it, but they could spoil the Mets season.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, there we go.
Sandy's pitching tonight.
I'm back to pretending I watch Mariners baseball.
Oh.
We're going to talk about that in a second, but there have been more weather delays in college football than there usually are the first month of the season, correct? This is an unusual thing. We've got 2 hurricanes off the coast of Florida, headed this way. We've got hurricane activity. This has been an unusual weather circumstance, and it's the new normal, right? Where a number of college football games are being delayed by weather. I have this wrong?
No, back in my day, this wasn't a thing. Back in my day, we would just brave the elements.
Play through lightning.
I don't understand that. I don't remember growing up. Do you remember games being suspended for like 2 hours? I was really confused. I would argue that the best weather Miami's had for any game this season was against USF, and that's the one with the weather delay. I don't understand it.
These are like the lessons that I learned from my dad playing baseball, because his high school coach at Beach High, Skip Mart, used to say, hey, when the lightning's there, just hold that metal bat higher. Show the lightning who's boss.
That's right. Classic Skip Mart.
Not.
We're going to be fine.
Not.
Only one spaghetti model has it headed this way, Dan.
It's multiple hurricanes, though. I was learning last night while watching one of the few weather forecasts that's still allowed to exist. I'm watching it, and they're explaining to me, I didn't know this before, that the 2 hurricanes can't actually combine to become a more giant hurragame. That's not the way that it works.
A super hurricane.
But, I just saw there was something. There was a super typhoon last week or earlier this week.
Yeah, those are hurricanes, but just on the other side of the world.
Stay off the Weather Channel. channel. We'll tell you when you got to worry, Dan.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We'll tell you when to get some water.
We're good. Nice little run here for us, actually.
I've got plenty of distilled water in the car.
Don't put it out there.
All sense
By the
of
way,
security.
I did look that up. You can consume distilled water. However, if you drink too much of it, you may have some deficiencies in minerals that your body needs.
Yeah, distilled water rips away basically all the essential minerals and all the general pH balance goodness that it brings to your body. You're just making yourself wet.
It's also pretty crazy that with all of this rain and all of these rainouts and all of that, that the Rays played their first ever season without a roof after their roof was destroyed and had 0 rainouts this season.
That's a good stat.
That's crazy.
Let's see if we've got a better stat of the day than that one. That's a pretty good stat of the day.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day.
Dan, while the world is watching to see if Big Dumper will set the AL record for home runs in a season because we celebrate AL records, Aaron Judge quietly set the American League record for intentional walks in a season with 36. As pointed out by Obvious Shirts on Twitter, in 2004, Barry Bonds had 120 intentional walks.
I was going to say, he wasn't anywhere close to where Barry Bonds was. I saw him intentionally walk that season with the bases loaded. Like, it was a lunacy. And we were talking earlier this week about 500 home run club. And I had mentioned, are there guys in the Hall of Fame who aren't 500, who have 500 home runs? Is there anybody who has 500 home runs who's not in the Hall of Fame, non-steroid division? Because I think all of the guys who have 500, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Billy, are guys who we associate with steroids and therefore keep out of the Hall of Fame. You've heard me give the stat before on Barry Bonds. It is an amazing stat that if you took away all of the stolen bases and all of the home runs from his 7 MVP seasons, he would still have 400 home runs and 400 stolen bases, which is something no other player in baseball has ever done. That season from Barry Bonds, obviously 73 home runs and 136 intentional walks with 73 home runs is the best baseball season there has ever been. But Aaron Judge has been better this year than the Big Dumper. And has been better for 4 years. He's had a 4-year run here, better than any player in the sport.
Offensively, I mean, probably most important defensive position in the sport that Big Dumper excels at, platinum glove and all. So I think that matters. Also, the protection that Aaron Judge has in that lineup also enters the equation. I last checked DraftKings Sportsbook, and I guess there was a lot of hype for Big Dumper. He overtook Aaron Judge fairly recently and became a nice little favorite on AL MVP.
That's just because he's new, though, right? Because people have grown weary of Aaron Judge's metronome excellence.
Yeah, and I think that there's just like kind of a real curiosity around a catcher doing this. He's got a couple different elements going for him. The Seattle Mariners being relevant again, and perhaps some Yankee and Aaron Judge fatigue a little bit. The novelty of it probably plays into the equation, but also the excellence. I mean, you can't really go wrong with either of those two candidates. I think one defensively puts himself over the other.
Even if not defensively, like, look, Aaron Judge metrically has had the better season, but there's an argument, and I think a pretty good one, to be made that what Cal Raleigh is doing in terms of excellence hitting home runs in a single season is the most impressive single season home run display we have ever seen of any kind. Mm-hmm. Because everyone else ahead of him, he's about to get to 60, whether he does or not. Everyone else ahead of him was either tainted by steroids, performance-enhancing drugs, or a Yankee. A very famously easy ballpark to hit home runs in. I believe currently it's the 3rd easiest ballpark to hit home runs, where in Seattle it's 19th. He's also a switch-hitting catcher the wear and tear on the body as a catcher, to be able to have the longevity in a season, to hit 59 home runs, you could argue that just simply as a home run hitter, this is the most impressive season there has ever been in the history of baseball.
It has to be non-steroid division because
that's why it's impressive.
When you're being walked 134 times or whatever it was intentionally and hitting 73 home runs, no one's ever going to do anything like that again. You will see that once in your lifetime. It will be medically, pharmaceutically aided, and it will be the last time you see anything like that.
And if we want to take the award literally, I know Aaron Judge is extremely valuable to the New York Yankees, but they're the Yankees. Cal Raleigh is more valuable to his team, I think, than Aaron Judge is even to the Yankees.
You say that. I will tell you that Mariners lineup in a lot of ways is better, especially in the second half of the year once they added Suarez, than the Yankees lineup has been throughout the year. When healthy, sure, but they've dealt with a lot of injuries this year. The value that Aaron Judge has provided has been more necessary this season than previous years, despite them having that payroll. But if you just look at the pure excellence, I mean, hitting 60 home runs, doing that, especially if over the weekend he passes Judge and hits 3 home runs somehow this weekend, it's been a really spectacular season and maybe the most impressive ever.
So college football this weekend, are the Georgia-Alabama game and Oregon-Penn State, are those on at the same time?
Primetime games, rare big-time SEC game that's on at night. Usually the big game of the day in the SEC is in that 3:30 window. Very small line, 2.5 in Athens. Surprised by that. I guess we'll see what FSU is tonight, but if Alabama goes into Athens, you start looking at FSU a little bit different. And college, Reese Davis already tipped the hand. Like, if FSU handles business, even if they don't, College Game Day is probably headed for Tallahassee. It'd be cool for FSU to edge one out here and for that game to mean a lot. But I'm very curious to see what Georgia is. I'm not exactly sure what to make of the SEC. I know what their reputation is, but the teams at the top of that conference, Dan, LSU, I have the transitive property thing. I know Miami played Florida better than LSU did. They were both at home. And that LSU performance against Clemson gets less and less impressive when you consider the teams that have also done this to Clemson and look more impressive doing so.
I don't know how you guys do this when it comes to point spreads, okay? Because I, too, was surprised by that point spread when I saw that Georgia's favored at home by only 2.5, when I feel like a couple of weeks ago when Alabama was losing to FSU, we were all saying, oh, that's all over in Alabama. Everything there. DeBoer is not going to be able to replace Saban. He's going to be fired here soon, even though he's got a long contract and the buyout is prohibitive. I feel like all of us buried Alabama a few weeks ago. So to see Georgia at home, Kirby Smart is 1-6 against Alabama. To see Georgia at home favored by less than a field goal gives me pause, because anytime I see a point spread that I don't understand, I simply assume I'm wrong. The most recent example, the Arizona Cardinals were a 1.5-point dog last night, and I didn't understand it. Going into the game, I'm like, why would anyone believe in Seattle this way? But the money tends to be pretty smart in these regards. It's not Vegas that's smart. It's Vegas that sets the odds, that gets betting on both sides. And the money, when I am going into a game and I think something is free money, I always think I'm wrong. And I'm so bad at this that I'll often bet against what I think just because I'm not even kidding. I'm not joking.
Responsibly, of course. You're betting against what you think responsibly.
I am not joking when I tell you that my temptation last night, when I see a point spread that I don't understand, is to say, okay, I'll go against what I think is going to happen in this game, because I'm assuming that there are people out there who know a great deal more than I do about what they're doing with their money here. I'm the jackass who's got 4 jugs of distilled water in his car without realizing why it is that my skin is getting drier than it used to be and has peanut shells all over the floor of my car.
You're just making yourself wet with that water, Dan. One last note on Alabama, Georgia. I spoke to George Sedano. Not a look at me, Louis. Just for context, he's called the last 2 FSU LSU games. He says their corners are good, but they gamble. You look at Alabama's receiver room, that's the best in the country. It's crazy that Ryan Williams is not the best receiver on Alabama anymore, considering what he did as a 17-year-old. We all know what Isaiah Horton is capable because he's a Miami transfer. He's capable of a lot, except for catching a 7-yard slant when the team needs it the most against Syracuse. But he's a third receiver in Alabama. Bernard has been unbelievable. Crazy to say that Ryan Williams, who had one of the best true freshman seasons of all time at 17 years old, isn't the best wide receiver there, isn't the leading wide receiver there. Their offense is figuring stuff out. Very curious to see what happens in that game.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Do we all know what Isaiah Horton is capable of, yes or no? Matthew Berry is here, and he is here to give us as fast as he can, as much fantasy information as he can, and I have promised him that if he makes himself available for us throughout this season, I will indeed partake in all things fantasy by the end of the season, and I will become somebody. What are you making faces about?
That's not how fantasy works. You don't just decide I want to be part of a fantasy league the last week of the season.
I'm gonna commit after I get look. I don't.
Is this for next season?
I don't think that you guys understand how little I trust any of you to actually commit to anything. When I say something, I mean it, and so I am promising that if Matthew Berry does indeed give our audience this information that it craves in condensed form, that I will participate in fantasy in a way our audience enjoys and feels after this season.
Dan Le Batard, how dare you? Question my commitment. I am suffering through this punishment that you have put me through because a random football team lost.
I am suffering through having to pay Udonis Haslem too much money to enforce rules around here because you guys do not respect the rules or respect anything. I can't get my father to do anything. Tony just left the show chasing my father.
I paid this thing off super quick.
No, you guys are terrible. You don't respect anything.
You should have joined our guillotine league. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, mostly they don't respect me.
I would enjoy guillotining just about all of you. I would.
Rough week for Roy. He was chopped last week.
I'm sorry, Roy. Did you have Green Bay?
I had Jordan Love as a quarterback, but we don't have teams.
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works. You fool! You fool!
Silly boy. Did you have Green Bay?
Did you think it was a Survivor League?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And this guy's talking tough to us, questioning our commitment.
Forgive me for thinking a guillotine league and a survivor league were the same thing. Both of them sound a bit ominous. There are life or death circumstances in both names to the leagues. Forgive me for thinking they were synonyms.
Well, now I'm dead.
Matthew Berry, we have an open for you. We have gotten around to making an open for you. Thank you for making the time for us. We know that you are very busy, so let's give him his open, please.
Matthew Berry. Matthew Berry. Matthew Berry. Matthew Berry!
He is our fantasy guru. He knows a lot more than most people. Obviously, if I don't know the difference between a guillotine league and a survivor league, I know next to nothing about what we're talking about. What is Cam Newton wearing right now on television? A bow tie with that hat? What are the studs in his hat? Matthew Berry, get us started here.
All right, the Las Vegas Raiders, top 5 in the NFL in terms of most receptions allowed on deep passes. Oh, by the way, this weekend they play Caleb Williams of the Bears. Caleb Williams is top 3 in the NFL in deep ball rate. Percentage of passes, obviously, they go at least 15 air yards. So a team that's bad against defending the deep ball has to play a quarterback that's really good at throwing it. Other side of that matchup, by the way, the Bears are also bottom 5 in the NFL in touchdown rate. They're bottom 5 in yards per pass attempt allowed. And so far this year, Geno Smith is actually top 8 in the NFL in pass attempts per game. It's a 47.5 over-under. I'll take the over. I think a lot of offense in the Raiders-Bears game randomly. In every single game this year, the Broncos have allowed at least 89 rushing yards from scrimmage to an opposing running back. They face the Bengals this week. This is the week Chase Brown gets up to Schneid, who's got 83% of the Bengals running back touches. By the way, he also has a 12% target share in the year. They're using him in the passing game. Broncos allow the 7th most receiving yards to opposing running backs. Last week, on the Denver side of the ball, J.K. Dobbins had a 85% running back rush share. Bengals have allowed at least 125 rushing yards to opposing running backs in back-to-back games. It's a J.K. Dobbins week. Omarion Hampton last week got a ton of usage, and this week has an unbelievable matchup. He had a utilization score of 96. It's a scale of 1 to 100 on how much a running back is used or any player is used in data that projects fantasy points Anytime you score over a 90, you are an RB1. He's locked in as a top 5 fantasy football running back in every single game this year. No matter who the quarterback is, Garrett Wilson has had at least a 37% target share. Dolphins have allowed a touchdown to a wide receiver in every single game this year. No wide receivers throughout this year has gotten more targets than Chris Olave of the Saints. He's got a 32% target share. And oh, by the way, he's a 16-point underdog to the Bills this weekend. Let's see. Last weekend, Matthew Golden had an 84% route participation. He had 77% of the Packers' air yards. It hasn't worked out for him yet, but this is the week that he goes off against the Cowboys defense that has allowed more yards and touchdowns and deep passes than any team in the NFL. No team has allowed more yards to opposing tight ends than the Carolina Panthers. It's another Hunter Henry week for the Patriots.
Excellent as always. How are you doing so far with your information? How successful have you been this season? How does this season feel? Because the early parts of a season can be hard to figure out what is actually happening, right?
Yeah, I mean, overall, pretty good. I think, look, have I hit everything? I have not. My big ride or die, Omari and Hampton, had a big week last week, so I just mentioned him. He's my one player that I sort of planted a flag on and said, this is my ride or die. He was going about running back. He was going about 30th. I think inside the top 30 overall, and he was a top 5 fantasy running back last week. So obviously been helped a little bit. There was an injury to his teammate Najee Harris, opens up more playing time for him, but he looked the part. He had a huge production. I think he has another big week. So that's been really good. A lot of the picks have gone well. One pick that I got wrong, which is sort of what you're asking, is James Cook. My concern in the preseason was last year James Cook played less than 50% of the snaps, wasn't involved in the passing game, and was just scoring touchdowns at a really high rate. So the argument was, well, there's just no way James Cook can keep this insane touchdown rate up if he's not getting a ton of usage, either on the ground or in the passing game. And yet he has. He's playing less than 60% of the snaps this year for the Bills. He's playing less than 60% of the snaps. He's got an under 15% target share. He's just, he's not a heavy part of the passing game for the Bills, and yet he's scoring every week. The Bills probably have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They're blowing teams out. And when they're getting in close, they are giving it to James Cook. So Cook's a top 3 fantasy running back. And so it's one of those weird things where I was completely right about all the reasons why he shouldn't be picked high, but yet he still is because he's getting just insane touchdown usage.
Were these coming back for Kansas City? Do you expect their offense to look any different?
I think it'll look a little bit better. Mahomes just hasn't looked Mahomesian, especially on those deep passes. They found a little something with Tyquan Thornton, but I think having Xavier Worthy, who developed more of a connection with last season, it's certainly just, getting a good player back for that offense is going to be helpful. They're out there with again, Tyquan Thornton had a nice game on Sunday, but it's Tyquan Thornton and Hollywood Brown, so I do think it will help the offense, just especially the deep passing of Mahomes, which has seemed off this year.
Tell the people where they find everything it is that you're doing, because as I mentioned, his fantasy information is wildly valuable. People really do appreciate it, and he will make your team better and make you more informed. Where do they find you on all the things you want to be found on?
Well, Fantasy Football Happy Hour is my show every single day. We follow you guys on Peacock. We're on at 5 o'clock on Peacock. We're also live at noon on YouTube, so you can check it out. You can also see it on demand on YouTube, Peacock, wherever you get your podcast. Fantasy Football pregame, Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and Peacock. We get you ready for all the games. We answer more questions than any other pregame show. And you can go to fantasylife.com and get a free newsletter from me and some of my friends. We send it a free 5-minute read. It's easy. It's free newsletter that gets you everything you need to know about fantasy football for that day. And, listen, it's a free newsletter. If you hate it, just unsubscribe. But you can go to fantasylife.com and check all that out.
Appreciate the time, Matthew. Thank you, sir.
Matthew, real quick,
Dan,
before you go,
Yes,
Club
sir.
Set open this week?
Yes, Club Set is open this week. Club Set's always open, but especially this week. He's their number one wide receiver. I don't know why people keep ranking Jerry Jeudy over him. Cedric Tillman. Club Set, always open.
Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but South Park has a different relationship with, I'm going to say, entertainment than just about anything I've ever seen in my life. I have always preferred The Simpsons. I have enjoyed the way that South Park hates Family Guy for not actually saying anything meaningful. But what happened with South Park last week is something that I was really having trouble remembering when and where I'd ever seen anything like it happen. They are famously procrastinators. They get to do whatever they want creatively in a way that no one gets to do whatever they want creatively. And last week, they just missed an episode. Wasn't ready in time. And because it was happening around the Kimmel stuff, people were wondering, well, were they censored? Were they kept from doing it? No. Just didn't get it done in time. Wanted to do it particularly well. Want to always have the freshest stuff off of news events to react to. And it wasn't ready. And everyone just had to wait. I don't know what kind of calamities that causes in the backgrounds, but I was wildly impressed by the amount of power that you have to just simply blow deadline, not show up for a scheduled appearance because your work's not ready, and everyone's going to have to wait. Not just your employer, America's going to have to wait. And what are we going to all do? We're all going to wait, and they're going to do it the way that they want to. When those guys talk about the notes that they get on their episodes, what you get is something unlike anywhere else in entertainment, where the arguments are, we're going to have to blur the penis. No, we're not going to blur the penis. And so the President of the United States has a tiny penis running through his South Park episodes while he tries to impregnate Satan.
I think the nature of their deal isn't necessarily you air on this date. Just give us a certain set of episodes. I don't know. They had an anniversary some years back where they did a documentary on how chaotic it is to put an episode together. I don't know if you watched that, Dan, but basically it's over the course of 72 hours. It's not the crude construction paper animation of the earlier seasons. They can put these things together fairly quickly. And that I imagine they basically threw out half an episode so they can keep it up to date, because they went at the FCC chair quite a bit in this episode, and a lot of that stuff evolved over the weekend. So, yeah, they probably worked really hard on an episode that didn't necessarily make their deadlines, and they decided to scrap a fair amount of it. It's pretty wild. They have incredible creative freedom. Cable television, pal. No oversight from the FCC there, only leverage. We know that Paramount, given what happened with Colbert and their merger and how much they prioritize that, does bend the knee. But the one exception that they have in their company seems to be the South Park guys.
Adam McKay mentioned in the making of Don't Look Up, I learned so much in talking to him about just how much the industry has changed, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to necessarily say here, but I'll try and talk around some of the things. Spoiler alert, if you have not seen Don't Look Up, it ends with, again, spoiler alert, the world ending. And generally speaking, that's not Hollywood friendly. There were fights around the movie Seven where contractually Brad Pitt had to get put into the movie Seven that it could end the way that it was supposed to end, because people don't like dark endings of movies. They don't want studios, people who are responsible for the money don't want to send the customer home feeling all manner of dark. So the way that the negotiations ended up working with Adam McKay as it revolved around creative freedom, and as it gets more difficult as 5 companies run all of Hollywood and entertainment, is he could only have the creative freedom that he wanted if he kept the movie under a certain length. If it went over the certain length, then he lost some of those creative freedoms. But he was able to end Don't Look Up with the world ending. But as he was making the movie, the absurdities that he was writing in fiction, as one of, the people responsible for a generation of comedy in film, the things that were happening in real life were making obsolete things that he was writing fictitiously as jokes that couldn't possibly happen, where he's making the billionaire weirder and weirder about things he's doing, and then things would happen in real life that made things that he was imagining seem like he was copying the news when he was writing them before the news happened. The guys at South Park, I am really enjoying what it is that Colbert and the guys from South Park can do as they are being more creative and more hostile in mocking what it is that's happening in America, which seems to resonate more than sermonizing or screeching, even though those have their profit centers too, if you sermonize and screech. Because when you look at the very top of what is happening in the podcast industry, people who are giving the strongest opinions and the strongest conservative opinions are the ones that are having much of the great success these days. But it was super strange to watch somebody who's wildly creative and was writing fiction watch real life events be weirder and more dangerous than the things that he was just sort of conjuring from his imagination.
And that was when the Biden administration was in place. Right now, in their haste to try to get the Epstein stuff out of the news, we thought they were flooding the zone in the first few months. It is every day. There's like 3 things that happen that are just like bonkers. There would be massive scandals for other administration. I'm not getting, like, this is my opinion, but there's like several Watergate level scandals that just don't even get covered anymore because of how crazy the news cycle has been.
But Steve Bannon told you that all of that was going to happen, and I was wildly naive about some of the things that have happened in the last 10 years, because I didn't understand when Breitbart was taking anything that I would say on ESPN and doing what is now being done to Wilbon when he talks about Bruce Pearl. I did not understand the threat that now seems quaint of just the Tea Party. I didn't understand what was happening anytime I was talking about a black athlete and it was becoming headlines on Breitbart, and then this community of people was getting mad at me. I not unlike Mike Gundy, wasn't able to change with the times fast enough not to be fooled by what it is that happened with the times, because Steve Bannon and some of the things that you see in Project 2025, just flood the news stream with scandal, and all of a sudden we become numb to scandal, and you can have 100 Watergates a year, and it doesn't even matter anymore.
Yeah, the flood the zone comment from Bannon was pertaining to policy, and now it's pertaining to policy and diversionary tactics. The ICE czar was caught reportedly accepting a bag of $50,000. Megyn Kelly takes to Twitter and says, we don't care, and you just indict James Comey instead. It's just a radical time that we're in right now, and that wraps up politics.
That's it. That's about enough of politics.
That's as political as we've been in months. Like dead on, like opining. I'm proud of us. It's enjoy your Fridays, people. Big Football Friday.
I am encouraged by the way that the creative community has in the last couple of weeks been pretty loud, because I don't know whether Dameshek is right or not on Kimmel, that it's the idea that powerful people have decided what was decided. I prefer to think that the people spoke up on behalf of Kimmel, and it had to be heard. But you saw that Hollywood did indeed rally around Kimmel, and so too did the folks on the right who were trying to protect their microphones, because as I was saying yesterday, I really do believe that America's core principle right now that is the strongest is just selfishness. It's just strong selfishness. And so people are protecting their microphones because they don't want to have their free speech controlled.
Okay, a little bit more politics.
I can't segue from that back to Arizona, Seattle. Like, what do you want me? You want me to talk about? You want me to talk about Arizona, Seattle? You want me to preview?
That's a great game. Great game. But the pivot has been like, we were obviously joking. Brendan Carr made a joke online. The guy that co-authored Project 25, he was joking as if we didn't hear what the president said on the airplane. Now, I am encouraged, though, by that whole Kimmel experience, not just because Kimmel's back on the air, but because there was consensus that this is wrong, and it finally forced a pivot. Now, the pivot is to lie to the American people and gaslight them and say what they heard and what they read wasn't so and that you were joking the entire time. Awfully convenient, but you did make them capitulate. Even if the capitulation was more lies, they realize that's too far.
When you see that Kimmel's ratings were what they were and it doesn't even count all of the stations that he was preempted on. Like there were
major markets, Washington, D.C., St. Louis.
Giant markets were not televising. Like what an enormous backfire. Like the thing about this that concerns me is that the next time they do it, it won't be as ham-handed as it was that time because they made it too clear what they were doing and the objection was obvious. Next time, it'll be done more in the shadows. But to have it backfire not just with ratings, but now with the affiliates and Sinclair being penalized by getting bombarded by calls saying, no, we want our Kimmel. You cannot strong-arm Disney or Americans this way by not televising this. Sinclair has entrenched itself. The idea that Sinclair is now getting hit over the head by a bottle by its viewers demanding Kimmel when no one's been demanding Kimmel for the last 23 years. That's not something that's ever happened before right now. You're not getting any flooding of your station or bad publicity for being someone who doesn't air Kimmel until right now.
Quickly, it's going to be a really busy weekend with a lot of sports, and I cannot wait to hear Amin's observations on Monday. And this reminds me that there is an incredible DraftKings pool. This was super popular. A lot of signups last year when we did this. I tried to play, was not eligible because I am on this show. But I would like to make a prediction because it's a cool game. Open up your app, toggle the top menu to pools, and you'll scroll down a little bit, and you'll see the weekend observations prediction pool. You can guess things like who's the first person that's going to be back. And my prediction for this, a little spoiler for the audience, I don't know anything here, but I think Xavier Worthy is going to make a difference in this game. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the quarterback that's back. Wow. Jack.
You with your Chiefs opinion. So
I mean, you with yours. Yeah. I like my hand. I'm doing the Nick Wright easy thing. I'm taking the greatest quarterback we've ever seen, and I'm going to say he's pretty good and he'll figure it out.
And you will ignore about, 20 games of data that suggests that their offense is constipated and is going to stay constipated.
Same way you ignore that the receivers are hurt.